Hi everyone, welcome to my review of David Fincher's Seven in 1995. My first Fincher review on this channel. I didn't start with Alien 3. I will be watching that at some point soon. That is technically, that is his debut. But this is his next film, his second film. Here it is on Blu-ray, Seven, and this is the first one really that he kind of disowned Alien 3. And of course I will be including that in the ranking. I'll be reviewing that. And yeah, I've not seen that for quite a few years now, more than a decade actually. I'll be watching that and reviewing that. But this is the first one really of the true Finchers, as he wanted it basically. And yes, of course, Fincher is from what I've seen, a stunning director. I've seen this, Fight Club, The Social Network, and of course Alien 3. And yeah, I loved three of them films, and who knows what I think of Alien 3. I'll have to just review that, when I see it. But yes, there's many, of course, that I'm really looking forward to. Zodiac, I think, is the one that I'm mostly looking forward to, and Gongo as well. And you know what, Benjamin Button as well. I do really look forward to that because the the idea of it does really interest me, and the way I don't know, some people call it, stupid, and sometimes when people describe films like that, I sometimes don't think that, sometimes that's, to do with it being, some people say unrealistic and stuff, which a lot of the time doesn't bother me. So I'll check that out and see what I think. But Seven, it's one of the most acclaimed films, of the 90s. Not, at the time, the critics, a bit more mixed, but, certainly on IMDb, it's in the top 40. It's got an 8.6 at the moment. And, many people sign it as one of the best films of all time. Certainly the best thrillers. And yeah, I've actually watched this for the first time last year, so I was very, very late in watching this. There was a time, quite a few years before that, where I was about to watch it, and I didn't get around to it. And it always intrigued me, Brad Pitt, Morgan Freeman, and yeah, I love thrillers, and this kind of, it's got this classic thriller feel, but very, very different, of course. And to David Fincher, his films are dark, and you can. That really is an kind of, that really doesn't sell it. His films really are dark and grimy a lot of the time. I love the darkness of these films. The feel they give, the atmosphere, and yes, at times there's films that I don't like the griminess of certain films, but with Fincher it doesn't seem to make me feel disgusting and everything. It really does just add to the effect, and it's perfect for this one. The way he's trying to portray the city, the griminess, and the way it's pretty much all the film raining, and it's just perfect the way he does that. But Fincher kind of just goes full on with his vision in this dark tone, and it just kind of makes it just amazing. I think he just fully commits in that sense. Certainly with this film, and Fight Club as well. And yes, it's a psychological thriller. Basically, these two detectives. You've got David Mills, played by Brad Pitt, who's one of my favourite actors, and then Morgan Freeman is also one of my favourite actors, who plays William, and he's basically the detective that's about to retire, kind of his last case, and Brad Pitt's the young guy. And yeah, they basically team up, because it's a serial killer, of course. This is, of course, if you've not seen the film, serial killer, who you kind of don't know. It isn't revealed till the final act, really, in brilliant fashion. And the serial killer is basically, his murders are in relation to the seven deadly sins. So if you know what they are, then yeah, and basically, yes, these two detectives trying to basically unravel and track down this killer, the serial killer, and each the way that straight away it is a disgusting film at times. Really the actual victims and the way they've been presented, very creative. I love the creativity of it. I love the way that they're built up as well. The way that the kind of each one is kind of this massive build up, and then when you see it, it's just as disgusting as you thought. And the way that it's presented, the way it adds dread and everything, and the build up to this serial killer who you don't see for at least, I think, well, or maybe not quite, but around an hour and a half of the film. And then when the person is revealed, it's just even more rewarding, and just It's just amazing. The victims, you know, the one I nearly throwed up, you know, by watching it was the one where the guy had been starved. That was absolutely disgusting. Really was. This is a shocking film. You know, very very graphic. You know, and Fincher kind of he reveals all of it. You know, he doesn't hold back in terms of how graphic it is, and fully commits as well, as I say, to the cinematography. It's very very dark colour tones. As I say, most of it, you know, certainly the city parts are in the rain, and it just adds to this atmosphere, this dark atmosphere, and the seedy nature of the city, and crimes and everything that happens, and just a very very chilling atmosphere. But it has got, you know, and luckily it has got, you know, it's such a heart to the film, and it's got loads of scenes of hope. It's got really really some funny moments. It's got some really touching moments. You know, Gwyneth Paltrow's in the film, Tracy. she's you know the partner of Brad Pitt, and I love the scene. One of my favourite scenes when she invites Morgan Freeman's character, you know, and they have dinner and stuff. Love that scene. That's kind of like a 10-minute scene. I just loved it. And then, you know, there's slowly things unravel that she's pregnant, and it all goes from there as well. You know, it adds a layer to it. And yeah, you know, Brad Pitt in this film, stunning. I love Brad Pitt. You know, I think he's a great actor, one of the best, certainly modern actors. You know, and this is probably not his best performance. One of his best for sure. There's a scene in it that's a contender for his best scene, acted scene. I'd probably still say Fight Club, and The Tree of Life. You know, his best performances from start to finish. I think he's absolutely wonderful in both of them films. And yeah, he's great. I think he's quite underrated in Troy, actually, off memory. I think I really liked him in that, actually. And yeah, I just think there's loads of great performances he's given. Snatch as well, actually, great performance. But in this is really great. He's kind of, you know, he's the one who's kind of finding himself, and then Morgan Freeman's more of the wise, you know, kind of warm character. And I love the dynamics. You know, really, the dynamics work so well. Really, really compelling, the arc of both of these characters. And yeah, it definitely comes together at the end. Yeah, definitely. Of course, this is known for a couple of twists here and there, which I won't get into. Pretty famous now, but still, you know, last year actually I didn't know what the twist was, luckily. I try not to go online about certain things and get spoilers. Unfortunately nowadays, you know, unfortunately you do get spoilers, but yeah, luckily for that I didn't. And yeah, it was stunning, you know, the really shocking moments, that. And it's just the way that I've loved these characters. I really like the way that the atmosphere is just really amazing. You know, very very dark, very gritty. You know, it's very much like a classic thriller in many areas, but it's got that another layer of very very dark, and really there's not too many thrillers like this in the way that it's very grimy and very you know, very seedy in that way. And the opening credits as well really portray that, set the tone of the film. You know, I love the opening credits. I think the Fight Club one is even better, the opening credits. But yes, you know, it's just stunning, and I love the way that the you know, the way it says Monday, Tuesday, and all that. It just portraying the everyday lives of these guys. But it's not done in a boring way, you know. For me, like The French Connection was, unfortunately. That's not a film that I'm massive on. I think that's a film where, you know, detectives were the kind of everyday repetitiveness of it did just become a bit boring for me at times. In this, it was thoroughly compelling from start to finish. But as well, it got across that, you know, that kind of never-ending, you know, detective work, you know, kind of thing. And the way that, you know, it was quite hopeless at times, the way they couldn't find out, you know, who this person was and stuff. But then when they start to, you know, unravel things, it's just really amazing the way it unfolds. Just the way Fincher, you know, gives us reveals information visually, and of course, you know, through dialogue. And the script is wonderful. You know, and Andrew Walker would work on the script. It's a stunning script as well. Really, the script kind of very very meaningful at times. You know, the kind of lines they give. A lot of lines in the film are very very meaningful, very human. Yeah, thoroughly human film. This, you know, it's not just the one that is all about plot as well. Luckily, it's really about characters, about humanity, and as well just the way the city really is a character as well. And then the contrast between the city and then the final act where they go into the kind of desert parts. It's really striking. The cinematography, it's just in both instances stunning. And on Blu-ray, it's just really wonderful. The way the audio as well is great, of course, on that, and it's just really stunning visuals. The fact that throughout most of the film you're in the city, and you've got most of the time the rain, and then when you see the deserts and everything, the sun, the actual sunshine and stuff, it's really really great as well. The change is very very drastic, and yes, this film, just the way it builds the tension, always a sense of dread throughout, and the final act does not disappoint. Absolutely stunning. And of course, Kevin Spacey, as an actor, he is stunning. One of my favourite actors of all time, and I just think he's great. He's been given so many great performances. I would say his best is still American Beauty, but this one he is stunning. The character he plays, of course, is great, and the performance is just something else. A shocking performance, of course, and just the scenes that he's in, really, really just he controls. He dominates the scene, you could say. And yeah, as always, great performance. And Gwyneth Paltrow is great in this film as well. She really brings a warmth to the film, and just everyone involved. Ermey as well. Great to see him. Of course the the sergeant and drill instructor in Full Metal Jacket, of course, very famous for that. He's also in Apocalypse Now, and he's not been in too many things, but he was great in this, really memorable, and just really, this is a stunning thriller. It works pretty much on every level. It's very very gradual, and it reels you in. And sort of begins very much with the atmosphere, and very much giving you these plot details. But after the 15-minute mark, it starts to reveal the characters a lot more, and it's definitely throughout the film it has that perfect mix of character and plot and atmosphere, and then visual storytelling really just masterfully done here. David Fincher really just directs this film to perfection. I think it's a stunning film. I wouldn't quite say it's one of the top 30 films or anything like that, like the IMDb page says. I don't. I wouldn't put it in my plus tiers, but this film does get my 100% rating. I think it's a masterpiece, flawless masterpiece. Everything about this film is just stunning, and I absolutely love it. It's, as I say, not quite my plus tiers. Who knows if a David Fincher film is, that I'll be reviewing. Find out, of course. And I'm not going to say if this is my favourite Fincher, or whatever. You just have to wait until them reviews, and can't wait to explore the rest of his films. But this one is a stunning film. It really lives up to reputation, mostly, and the twist as well is so good at the end, and it just, the performances, of course. Morgan Freeman, absolutely love this character, the character he plays. Thoroughly warm and peaceful character, and just the way that he kind of it's kind of like a father figure, you could say, to Brad Pitt's character of David, and the way that it's really just warm, the way they have that dinner table scene and stuff early on, and then the scene in the cafe was one of the best scenes in the film between Morgan Freeman, Gwyneth Paltrow. Gwyneth Paltrow is amazing. Brad Pitt is on top form here. Kevin Spacey, masterful in this film. Stunning performance, no doubt, and all the side characters as well, and just the way this film builds and builds, and then finally, when it does reveal everything, it still maintains the tension, and that there's that final twist at the end to kind of set things off, and a chilling ending, really really unsettling, kind of way things pan out. And I love the quote at the end as well, really, really meaningful. But a thoroughly human thriller, a unique one, full of atmosphere. The cinematography and editing is perfection, just razor sharp. And the way the victims are all revealed, it's so good, so involving. This is just a detective kind of film where it is thoroughly engaging throughout. And some films, detective films and stuff, they're not, and it's quite hard actually at times to involve the audience in that. But luckily, Fincher has the atmosphere, he has the characters, and he has the visual storytelling hand to kind of engage on a way. And it's at times quite spiritual as well. Masterpiece, no doubt. Who knows if it's his best? I won't reveal yet. Or my favourite. But yeah, what a masterpiece this is. And yeah, it's definitely on my favourite films list. Not massively high, like top 150 or anything, but it is on there. And of course, because that's what I'm doing this month, every day at least, a film every day at least, it's on there. So yeah, Se7en is for sure on there, and absolutely love this film. Highly recommend it if you've not seen it, but I suppose most people have seen it now. But yeah, thanks for watching my review of David Fincher's masterpiece, Se7en.